All right, let's react to some content. We've been talking about fucking economics this whole time. I didn't even mean to do that. I just talked about Tesla, and then we got into economics, which is crazy. So I won't buy the Tesla, is what I ended up with. I will not do that, but I do appreciate you guys talking about that. That was fun. So now we're going to talk about another economic crisis. American stocks have crashed, absolutely been wrecked by this new Chinese AI model, Deepseek, which they somehow released at a fraction of the price of any AI model the American side has made, and is now free as well. This video is China's new AI Deepseek just won the tech race. American CEOs in shock by Cyrus Jansen. Let's check out what's going on, because some shit is getting hectic. 2025 is a movie. I love it. Every time we come on here, boys, something catastrophic just happened within the world. I love it.
China just unveiled a new piece of technology that is disrupting the entire tech world. But what's more fascinating about this development is the timing of its release and what it means for the future of US-China relations. On January 20th, the very same day that Donald Trump was sworn in as the 47th president of the United States, China released Deepseek R1, an advanced...
It's like they knew it was coming. You know, it's like they definitely saw this shit coming from a mile away. And I think Donald Trump did too. And that's why he signed the, what was it called? His initiative to basically make America the leading AI specialist. Cybergate, what was it? Some kind of weird name like that. It's why he did it, because he probably saw this shit coming from, like, there was probably some kind of, you know, forewarning that people had that weren't necessarily insiders.
An advanced AI tool designed for deep data analysis that is an immediate rival to America's OpenAI.
It took Google and OpenAI years and billions of dollars to build the latest AI large
Stargate. Thank you, Stargate.
Language models, but now a Chinese research lab has built a competitive model in just 2 months with dumbed down GPUs for less than, get this, $6 million, not billion, $6 million.
This is the biggest story coming out of China right now, because it will change the future of tech around the world. But once again, I want you to focus on the timing of this event. Make no mistake, China waited to release this impressive development the morning of Donald Trump's inauguration to send a strong signal to the US government. Under the Biden regime, the US government passed unprecedented tech sanctions against China, hoping to contain the country's rise. But the very moment Trump ascended into power, China launched this new AI platform to send a clear and stern message to the Trump administration. Not only have we managed to survive the previous administration's sanctions, we've managed to thrive. China's new AI software performs just as well as its American counterpart, but China did it with half the technology and at a fraction of the cost. Even more incredible, China is making its new AI tool open source, allowing anyone to view, modify, distribute, and use this new software.
OpenAI's
The crazy thing about that is it's more open source than open source AI in America. Because open source AI in America, you can try to get it to do things, but it does have limitations. It's almost a censored version of AI, where I don't know if you guys have used DeepSeek, but you can use it, right? And dude, there's no censorship. Like, that shit will just say whatever you ask it to do. It will do whatever you ask it to do. I heard they don't have much utility for AI right now. They are putting the cart before the horse, so to speak, investing way too much money into it without a real return on utility yet. Well, the thing is that they haven't invested that much money into it. Comparatively to American stocks, or sorry, not stocks, companies, China, I mean, this company hasn't even spent a dime compared to what they've spent. Literally, like, if you do the equation, it's actually nuts. You have to remember everything is artificially inflated now. It's true. When I worry about money, I watch this there and say, shit. I watch shit like this and say, fuck it. Cinnamon Square Mortgage. I'm on. Jesus Christ, you guys.
Its moat may be shrinking. If a model like DeepSeek can emerge with competitive performance, minimal cost, and reliance on existing outputs, it signals a rapidly shrinking barrier to entry in AI development, challenging the current dominance of industry leaders like OpenAI and Google and Anthropic and Meta, by the way.
There is no doubt many Silicon Valley CEOs are genuinely concerned and worried about the future. The AI industry is supposed to be dominated by American tech companies like NVIDIA, Google, and Meta. But once again, China has managed to overcome obstacles and accomplish the unimaginable. But to show you just how remarkable this development is, I want to take you back to May 2024, when former Google CEO Eric Schmidt spoke with Bloomberg and confidently proclaimed the future of AI is firmly in the United States' control.
In the case of artificial intelligence,
I mean, is it? Let's check this out. Check this out, NVIDIA stock. Look at what it's done as of like just literally a few days. It's absolutely gotten fucking, dude. What the hell, man? Just shot down. S&P. If we look at this, S&P 500, bro. I literally am such an asset. I've literally bought some last fucking week, bro. I should have waited. I mean, this is just ludicrous, dude. AI gets launched. Pew. China knows what they're doing.
We are well ahead, 2 or 3 years probably of China, which in my world is an eternity.
Cool. Hey, John, what's up, man? Tell you that piece of shit. Hey, bro, I hope he is, man. I'll spin kick his fucking face if he does, man. I'll spin kick his face for you. I was going to make a video on him because I just can't stand that. Oh, my God, dude. Anybody who's like that, who's, you know, a mature man that wants to put himself out there as an authority figure and attack somebody on the internet is just like, you're a joke. There's literally nothing you could do to anybody. You could absolutely fucking do nothing to us.
It was quite the bold statement from the former Google executive.
John, thank you for stopping by the way.
Who is one of the most influential.
You do have categorically the best hair in the business. That is a matter of fucking fact.
Voices in the United States AI industry. Fast forward to November, just 6 months after that video was recorded, and Eric Schmidt completely changed his tune. In a speech to Harvard University, he shared that Chinese companies Alibaba and Tencent were quickly closing the AI gap.
I didn't actually know China was owned Alibaba. That's crazy. Do a video. All right, John. I'll do one just for you. In your honor. Wet paint, bro. I would love to see Kolton fight, sparring or whatever. That would be good content. Yeah, I would actually like to do that. The problem is where I live right now, there's literally nobody that does. There's nothing. We have like one boxing class that's held here on base, like on the Air Force base. And then outside of that, there's like one mixed martial arts, but it's fucking karate. I'm not going to do karate. What kind of gay shit is that? Sorry if anyone does karate. Thank you, bro. I really appreciate that, John. I really do. I'm trying. So I can't really do anything here. It's not like Thailand where you just walk up to a Muay Thai camp and it's like you just literally start fighting professional fighters and they're striking. It's all about just, I don't know, finding the right people to train with. And that here there's not anybody to train with except outside of like an hour away, which really sucks. But I would love to, man. I really wish when I was in Thailand, I was recording that shit daily because I was going daily and it was an absolute blast. So, yeah. One day it'll come.
A gap, leaving Schmidt to admit to everyone in the audience, I thought the restrictions we placed on chips would keep them back. This is shocking to me. Everyone, there's a lot to unpack in today's episode as we start a new chapter in US-China relations with the return of Donald Trump to the White House. I'm going to break down everything you need to know and also reveal how you can profit from Donald Trump's presidency by studying geopolitics and observing market trends. Later in today's video, I'll show you a company who operates an innovative model in the gold sector in my home state of Nevada and has major 2025 goals. But first, let's break down everything you need to know about China's new tech breakthrough and what it means for the upcoming trade war with Trump back in the White House. Let's start our analysis by studying this map, which shows the US government's latest restrictions on AI chips. The US is explicitly trying to prevent non-Western countries from developing AI technology by only giving full access to America's closest allies labeled in blue. It's a bold strategy because the US government has excluded many of its close allies and trading partners from Tier 1 status. Just take Mexico and India, for example. Both of these countries should be considered close allies of the United States, but both were given Tier 2 status, meaning the US government wants to also hold back their ability to develop as well. The United States is going to upset a lot of countries around the world with this new policy, and it's quite ironic, as the US government has preached for years the virtues of free trade to the rest of the world. In reality, the US government is only interested in maintaining its global hegemony. And it's situations like this when I'm reminded of this internet meme, which showcases the international community you always hear about. When Donald Trump
That's such a true statement. Oh my God. Yeah, one of the problems though is like, look, if we let people innovate, America doesn't innovate anymore. We basically take other people's innovations and make it our own, rebrand their innovations, right? Like we basically it's terrible what we do because we take other people's work and then we just rebrand it essentially and then sell it to our own people. And so the reason that this is happening is because if we just let India uncontrollably develop sciences, they're going to overwhelmingly surpass us. Truly, their space engineering programs right now are actually nuts. If you've ever taken a look at them, I highly suggest you do. It's kind of scary. Like they're outpacing America and they're still far behind, but they're going so fast in the right direction that it's kind of like, oh shit, this guy over here is going to pass everything we've done over the past 3 decades in a snap of a finger. We think SpaceX is impressive and shit, but the shit that's India is actually accomplishing within a fraction of a time compared to what we had to do is nuts. And I could imagine that it makes America scared because it's like, oh shit, we're losing the tech race right now, in all honesty.
Donald Trump first started the trade war with China in 2018, he wanted to accomplish two goals. Number one, reduce the United States trade deficit with China, and number two, limit China's global position in manufacturing. But here we are, 7 years later, and the trade war has failed at both of these objectives. Earlier this month, it was reported that China's trade surplus reached a new record of nearly $1 trillion. Since the beginning of the trade war in 2018, China's trade surplus has literally done nothing but increase. The Wall Street Journal even published this story just 4 days before Trump's return to the White House, warning the new administration that China has a $1 trillion head start in any tariff fight. Even the United States' secondary goal of reducing China's global position in manufacturing has also failed. According to data from the United Nations, China today accounts for around 27% of global industrial production, up from 24% in 2018. By 2030, the UN predicts China's share of industry will have risen to 45%. The cold hard truth is, despite all of America's efforts to stop China, Chinese factories are dominating global manufacturing on a scale not experienced by any country since the United States after World War II. Kishore Mahbubani, Singapore.
I mean, this literally just ties back to what we were literally just talking about with the housing market and buying new cars, interest rates, mortgage payments, and car payments. No one has the ability to work at cheap labor costs, and also companies don't have the ability to pay employees at rates in which will give them a livable income in America, especially if they're startups. Like, I don't think you guys realize, yeah, it's great to say, well, Amazon should, be resourcing everything in America, and Tesla should be not producing stuff in China like they are, which they just, developed the manufacturing plant over there, which is the largest in their lineup. But it's, at the end of the day, it's like, well, if these companies didn't move and export goods or import goods from companies outside of the US, they would have never been able to start up. It is so expensive. Even if I manufacture a shirt, one shirt in the United States compared to overseas, it costs me like $26 per shirt, where overseas it's a few bucks. And it's like, I'm sorry, for the same quality, if not better, because over there they're, really working hard in a forced manner, but working hard. And here we have like some lazy guy with a half-shaved head that's purple haired trying to put together a shirt. He doesn't give a shit. And so sometimes the product is actually better at a cheaper price. And it's like, I can't do better than that as a guy who's trying to own a business and function and make money. It's like, shit, dude, like, what do I do?
Singapore's former ambassador to the United Nations recently gave a cautious warning to Washington that the US government is going down a very dangerous path. The whole world will move towards relying on Chinese companies for a whole range of products. If the US tries to decouple from Chinese companies and their global reach, the US is not just decoupling from China, it is decoupling from the rest of the world too.
Precisely. And that's the fucking thing, right? Is like, China's going to have it's going to grab the nuts of every fucking country out there by just literally capitalizing on the entire market of manufacturing. And it's going to become so bad that it's a dependency for most countries, which it already is. I would say it's already one for America too. Work ethic in America is pathetic. Yeah, it's terrible, man. Like, I so okay, housing again. Because I've just been in the housing market lately, and I've been, really trying to invest in this property, like I've said, and then trying to flip it and make something out of it. We'll see how that works. But I've been really into like looking at new builds and researching and looking in areas of where new builds are. And dude, the quality of new build houses is terrifying. It is absolutely so bad, and the new codes are actually scary. Like they downgraded the coating so that you don't even need that sort of thick plywood that you put on the exterior of a house. You just need foam. So they put foam and then they put siding up on the foam. And I'm not even kidding. Like go look up Dallas exterior siding and you'll see the new code basically allows for them to just put up foam and then staple on siding on top of the foam. And that's all the exterior of your house is. Outside of that, it's 2x4s and like a truss in the ceiling, and that's basically it. And even then, they can't get it right. It's scary shit, man. It's truly scary.
Donald Trump's trade war has set off a globalization frenzy among Chinese companies, and in many sectors, the majority of these companies are implementing going global plans that would not have taken place as rapidly had there not been tariffs from the US government. This chart is quite fascinating as it compares the amount of foreign companies in China to the amount of Chinese companies abroad. Notice how wide the gap is now. While foreign brands in China have decreased in recent years, Chinese brands are expanding aggressively overseas. What we are witnessing in real time is that America's efforts to contain China have resulted in China accelerating its progress in many important industries. And there is no greater case study to examine than China's progress in both semiconductors and AI. For many years, China imported hundreds of billions of dollars worth of American microchips. At the time, China was more than happy to be the United States' #1 customer. But when the US cut off China, all of those resources were redirected back into domestic Chinese companies, which are now seeing more profitability, greater capability, and more scope to invest in research and development. The United States has basically forced Chinese tech companies to accomplish something they didn't need to achieve before, and this is how China was able to develop Deepseek R1, the new open source AI tool that has every Silicon Valley tech executive worried about the future. The first reason for concern is that China has proven you don't need hundreds of billions of dollars to produce this software, and tech insiders simply can't believe how China built a rival to OpenAI in less than 2 months with a budget of only $6 million.
It's okay. I don't know if you guys are into gaming, but it's the same thing as Black Myth Wukong. Game Blue, we were in a gaming drought. There was no good games at all. Black Myth Wukong comes out of nowhere from a game developer who was only making mobile apps with a budget that's less than a 16th of what most of these AAA gaming industries are doing here. And the game literally destroyed with graphic fidelity, performance, and actual gameplay every game that the American market has produced in the past 5 fucking years. And then the sales would concur with that. The reason is that we don't have all, like, I don't know, man, this is a big brain perspective, right? But in America, we have this like really big ideology, which is, well, I don't have to work hard because it's not mine. And I don't have to do this because I'm not getting paid enough. And also, a lot of these companies become bloated and inflated with HR firms and consultation companies and X, Y, and Z tax firms helping them out with God knows what. And it's like, well, $1 million there and $1 million here and $1 million here. And all this bloat and fucking employer garbage just crashes down on people with making things unnecessarily expensive and also shittier than counterparts making things much cheaper with just better work ethic, better elbow sweat, essentially, which is disgusting. Blue collar bodybuilding, maybe you're actually shadow banned. I don't know if that's true. Yeah, it's not auto moderated as well. So work ethic is great, payouts are bad. I would say work ethic is not great. In certain individuals, it's great. But I can tell you from, I would never hire an American to edit videos for me. I'll never hire an American to make graphics for me. I'll never hire an American to do any sort of outreach or sales work for me because they just don't give a shit. Like there's not that, people don't have that dog in them here like they do in other countries. Just download a Deepseek to compare to ChatGPT and the Deepseek server is so flooded they can't even sign up. Yeah. there you won't be able to get in there for a long time. Black Myth Wukong made the rest of the gaming industry look so bad. They just cared more about the product. Yeah. And that's the thing. I think China understands as well. Like, they're selling a fucking product to the consumer. And America just says, we're going to make this product the way that it makes us the most money, and you're going to consume it because we told you you'd like it. It's just never going to work. It literally will never work.
Why the difference in price? Like, what am I getting for $5.5 million versus $1 billion?
That's the thing. You're basically getting a model that's as good as the frontier models that OpenAI and Llama have created.
I can't stress enough how big a deal this is to the future of America's tech industry. This blog post from the AI team at Meta has gone viral, and it exposes a massive problem for Mark Zuckerberg and other Silicon Valley executives. Engineers are moving frantically to dissect, Deepseek, and copy anything and everything we can from it. I'm not even exaggerating. Management is worried about justifying the massive cost of Gen AI org. How would they face the leadership when every single leader of Gen AI org is making more than what it costs to train Deepseek v3 entirely? And we have...
Yeah, you have to pay a CEO that doesn't know anything about AI to run a company, millions of dollars, just so we can organize the employees because they won't be able to do it themselves. And then each of those groups of employees needs to have a manager and a shift manager and an HR lead so that they can be managed and make sure that they're doing their job. And all of this is to just do a shitty job at all of it, making sure you're doing, 33% of the workload that another person could be doing. Basically, what I've found is if you can hire a 5-star hitter in one spot, you can eliminate 4 other employees. Like, if you can hire someone who's actually really invested in seeing something improve, you can literally fire 5 to 4 other employees. I've had this happen in my own company, and it's like, I don't know where that comes from in America. It's just this weird fucking thing, man. Most Americans can't even get their shoes tied without breaking a sweat. Most gym equipment is made in China. If it isn't, it's always 25 to 50% more expensive. Yeah. It would be a really good time. You're picking up on something. Get wrecked. You should try to catch the wave because you are absolutely right. I bought a dip pull-up station. I got delivered today. Pretty sure it was made in definitely was made in China.
We have dozens of such leaders. After living in China for over a decade, I've come to realize that finding solutions to
This man's a goddamn fucking not even American, dude. I should be speaking to this man in Chinese. Konnichiwa, brother.
complex problems is literally in the Chinese DNA, and one should never count against China's ability to innovate. 10 years ago, Harvard Business Review was publishing articles claiming China has no ability to
Have a good night, James Foster. I hope you have a beautiful evening and a safe morning tomorrow.
innovate. But fast forward to today, and we now have some of America's most prolific tech investors, like billionaire Mark Andreessen, who helped build the world's first web browser, state, Deepseek R1 is one of the most amazing and impressive breakthroughs I've ever seen, and as open source, a profound gift to the world. To be honest, this story goes much deeper than a breakthrough in AI development. The world is now waking up.
I want to know how they're measuring the AI to OpenAI, knowing China, it could be very good marketing because this guy really has only said that it's better with no reasons. I think it is clearly better. I won't go into it here, but there's a lot of representation of it being quite better in terms of processing power. It's also free. You don't have to pay for full access. But as someone who had a chance to use it today, I would say it is at least 20% better in its ability to compute complex requests. I'll say that much. I got a new kitten on Friday, half Maine Coon, half Russian Blue. Named her Katya. I love her. I hope she goes in I hope you guys thrive together. Sounds like an adorable cat. Ask AI steroid questions. Pretty funny. I do a lot, actually. How I use AI is very strict. I use it as a how'd you say this? What is the word I'm looking for? Like a brainstorming tool. So what I do is like I research and I'll use it as like a co-pilot while researching. So basically I'll be like, okay, I found this study. Can you summarize it for me? And it summarizes it. And then I was like, okay, cool. Can we find more data that's actually in agreement with this data. Does that, right? And like I'll use it in that capacity. I won't ask it to generate ideas, but I'll use it to compound on the ideas that I do have. And I think it's pretty good for that. It does actually, once it learns your kind of messaging, it does actually get to be very good at talking about things like that.
Up to the reality that China has officially caught up and is overtaking the US in tech and innovation, despite America's best efforts to stop China's rise. From Stanford to MIT, China's Deepseek R1 has become the model of choice for America's top university researchers, basically overnight. And to be honest, it's quite easy to see why. Independent third-party testing has shown that China's Deepseek R1 is almost identical in terms of quality to the United States OpenAI, as shown in this graph. But what's most impressive is the price point. Deepseek R1's output price is literally 30 times cheaper than OpenAI. Once again, I'm going to share with you the insights from America's famous tech billionaire Marc Andreessen, who states, "This week may have been the most important week of the decade for two totally different reasons." Marc is certainly referring to the re-election of Donald Trump and China's new AI development. It's quite the bold statement to claim that both of these events will define this decade, but in many ways, it's certainly true. As we've proven in today's video, Deepseek R1 has changed the entire tech industry upside down overnight. And with the return of Donald Trump to the White House, there will be a lot of uncertainty for the future of geopolitics and world trade. Will Donald Trump double down on his efforts to contain China, or will he seek to work with China and make the world a better place? I certainly hope the US and China can work together, because as this MIT Technology Review article states, there can be no winners in a US-China AI arms race.
Interesting. She uses ChatGPT to clean up all her emails. She writes them and then ChatGPT does the magic. Yeah, I think that's a good way to use it. Generally, if you're using ChatGPT to generate ideas, that's where we run into trouble. I think ChatGPT can polish ideas, and that's where it's really useful. If you're asking AI for gear advice, you have bigger problems. Absolutely. Yeah, you need to do your own research. I think ChatGPT is only as good as the knowledge base that you already have, right? So if you don't have knowledge base, it's not going to be able to be helpful, especially if you can't ask the right questions with the right frame of context. And like, let's say you bring up, how does testosterone work? Well, if you're not asking it like the correct questions about its molecular influence, its non-genomic versus genomic influences, like you can't really do that. As well as I always make sure it fact checks itself by citing sources whenever it says something. But you can't just like go into AI thinking it's going to give you some new profound advice on anything. What he's talking about, arms race are good for tech.
Interesting enough, almost half of all the top AI researchers globally, some 47%, were born or educated in China, according to industry studies, meaning that if the United States wants to influence the future of AI, they're going to have to do so by working with the Chinese. I'm going to include a link to this MIT article and all my sources I've used in today's video in the description below. But as promised, I want to shift to the next segment of our video and show you an investing opportunity that directly correlates to Donald Trump's return.
We don't need to see the investing opportunity, but I do think it's interesting that China has just dropped this within 2 months, $6 million, when OpenAI is supposed to be the leading AI in the world, and it's, falling apart at this point. Falling apart. It's very interesting. I think it's honestly concerning in many ways, because Trump just tried to sign a bill saying that basically everyone can come to the United, like they want more people who are professionals to come to the United States, more educated individuals to come to the United States, less uneducated individuals. But at the end of the day, if this is coming from China, and we have statistics like, I think you said 37% of the world's professionals come from China, or educated, and tech professionals are educated in China. It's like, well, where are we going to get those? Aren't these the guys that we tried to ban their app just not too long ago, like last fucking week? So it's super interesting. We didn't develop nuclear power for friendliness. Turns out it's great. Yeah. Yes. I mean, like the way I see this is it just applies pressure for change, and change is good. If it unearths a lot of the bullshit that's happening now, I think truly, where people don't really realize this, like the economy is as bad as it's ever been. Life in America is as bad as it's probably ever been. like things are not good. So change in any way, I welcome it, because even if it's unstable, if it brings unstable times and there's concerns for more crazy things happening, I still think that change directs, sort of like when you plant a plant, right? Or like you're actually putting crop down, like corn, for instance, you have to churn the ground, churn the soil, aerate the soil before that ground becomes fertile. And this is no different. I feel like you have to sort of mix things up. You have to like really create shock and change to pressure. You have to create pressure to create real change in the world. Why not be this? I use ChatGPT for measuring info to reconstitute peptides. Yeah, it's actually really good for that. I use it as a calculator as well for peptide dosing. They're building the first AI data center from the Trump announcement in my town. That'll be wicked, man. It will bring a lot of jobs, that's for sure, which will be really cool. I'm happy to see that come to fruition, because it's only gonna be good for people.